Welcome back, everyone. Who has the time to watch 15 different content creators, scroll Twitter endlessly, and all for that one piece of news that you might be interested in? What if you had someone to go explore and give you the most valuable news and links over the past week? So you could go and do your own research. Well, that's what I'm going to do for XRP and the projects on the XRPL. All the links you will need that I reference here will be in the description below or in the first comment if I remember to do so. But without further ado, let's get started. The first link we have here today is the New York Department of Financial Services, which updated their green listed coins with a shorter approved list. Now, this list removed XRP among other digital assets. The significance or the reason why this is significant is because other states are following New York's lead, and representatives from the Department of New York have testified before Congress on a few occasions about their different regulations. So, this updated list with the updates to the guidance to the Department of Financial Services was supposed to encourage innovation in the virtual currency space, hopefully by making it safer. But this article that I'm showing here goes into great detail about the policies surrounding any company dealing with virtual currencies, company or entity. And this goes into details about why different delistings would happen, compliance, governance, risk assessment, monitoring, and much more. So, this is the list in question, which is on their homepage. If you just kind of go, or the page I'm going to be linking here. If you want to find it, you just want to go to green listed coins. It'll drop you all the way down there. Now, this list, again, the list in question, you can see the XRP is no longer present on this list. Now, this means that every entity that was trading XRP now has to get a separate approval to continue listing and trading XRP and other assets that were removed. Now, that is only if they are approved by the New York Financial Services that they can continue to trade those, to my understanding. Anyone in the US would be good to take note of the disclaimer under this list that says, DFS may at any time and in its sole discretion prohibit or otherwise limit a coin's use before or after a VC entity begins, which I guess that's a virtual currency entity, begins using a coin, require that any virtual currency entity delist, halt, or otherwise limit or curtail activity with respect to any coin, remove any coin from the green list, refrain from placing any coin on the green list, or discontinue this green list process entirely. The Department of Financial Services may also update its current self-certification guidance in its sole discretion. So after reading that disclaimer, I wanted to bring up this article that talked about how the Department of Financial Services of New York does not... Where did I have it? It's right around here. Yep, this is it right here. And again, this article stated that, again, the Department of Financial Services of New York does not have to prove that a token is a commodity or a security. They set their own standards, and while I have read some of the guidance, and I have to say, the power in this list, if it were to be replicated by other states, could create a compliance nightmare. If everyone's not in lockstep, that is. But it would be where if states could decide yes and others no to different currencies, even more so on a national level, where at any time, at whomever's discretion to remove a token from that list, it's crazy to me that the amount of power that this organization holds just for the state of New York that I don't think we should be replicating. I mean, I like some of the intent behind it, and I know that we're kind of they seem to be in this phase that they are experimenting with, it almost feels like, because they're like, well, just kidding, we're going to remove 16 tokens. I'm not sure it was 16. I'm just saying that, like, it was a lot. From my understanding, the list practically got cut in half. But that being said, Like, this is a crazy amount of power for one organization to have, and it doesn't even have to prove anything, it just does it. Again, I would just encourage anyone who's interested in this to go read this article and go read some of the regulations. But let me know in the comments below whether or not you feel like this is too much power for one organization. Next, in the news, Jackie Lee, who is the CEO of Tranglo, and Tranglo is a Ripple ODL partner before they just moved ODL into their other services. But he was interviewed about the success of Tranglo and released some pretty interesting statistics about ODL. When talking about Tranglo's partnerships, Jackie says, quote, "For example, cash flow is one of the biggest challenges SMEs face when expanding quickly. To solve that, we work with Ripple, the leading enterprise blockchain and crypto solutions provider, to extend credit facilities via its on-demand liquidity service. This helps our partners to free up working capital and grow. At the time of writing, Tranglo has helped SMEs such as, I don't know how to pronounce that, XBAT and Pipple free up millions of dollars in cash flow. ODL transactions went from a paltry US $53 million in 2021 to $970 million in 2022. Now, that's nearly an 18x the amount of transactions from 2021 to 2022. We are now in late 2023, and I would venture at speculation that it has been higher in 2023. So this leaves me wondering, why is the price seemingly unaffected? Let me know what your thoughts are on XRP's price in relation to ODL below, because this is just one Ripple partner and the success they've had. And I just, if we are all waiting on that boom moment where XRP is utilized to a great degree, this seems like a lot of utilization to 18x between then. And so I know we always talk about price suppression, and I don't claim to be any expert. And again, I'm not a financial advisor. But this is extremely strange to me, how we can nearly 18x the amount of transactions just in one Ripple partner. In one. not all the others, just one. And the price seemingly be unmoving. So let me know your thoughts. Maybe it all happens at different times. You know, there's many factors, I'm sure. But this just blows my mind. So I'm sure there's smarter people out there. Please comment below, because I'm trying to understand. Moving on. In the House Financial Services Committee, a bill to prevent government central bank digital currencies was passed, and now, to my understanding, moves to a full vote in the House. So we'll see what happens with that, but I encourage anyone who is afraid of a police state ending up like China to go and watch this video and to learn who is for a CBDC in the US and who is not. This may help you to figure out who you're going to vote for and who you're not for the next elections, and understand some of the reasonings behind things. There's a lot of good question and discussion that comes up in this video, and that's again why it will be linked below for you to go and view it. Next in the news, we have Stellar is joining the World Economic Forum efforts. Why is this significant? Because the World Economic Forum, along with the World Health Organization, are connected to, I think, some pretty bad folks. And, you know, this is just par for the course. But it says it's for humanitarian and resilience investing, or HRI initiative. So good intentions, not the greatest of partners necessarily, from this person's perspective at least. But then, you know, I go and do some more research, and of course Ripple is on the World Economic Forum's website. And I think I remember, you know, Brad Garlinghouse go to Davos before, but until this most recent news, I had totally forgot about this connection. That being said, the next piece of news we have here is heading on to the XRPL news, is about the Zum off-ramp. Now, Dark Defender here said, "Hey, Zum Wallet, can you please let us know when you are planning to enable off-ramping for the XRPL?" And we'd say does a response here that essentially says he's going to create an off-ramp for the euro on the DEX that does not need a liquidity provider. And so, very interesting. Super excited to see that. But this leaves me wondering, will there be something like this for the dollar, obviously? Don't leave us out here, yo. But there's also this recording where he goes into that a bit more towards the end of this recording. So I'm going to leave that link in the description as well if you want to hear more details about what he has planned. It's going to come after Zahao, so I'm not sure if it's going to utilize Zahao in some way or what they're calling the hooks or the smart contracts sidechain that they're developing. But that is there, so go listen to that if you're interested. Now for the weekly project on the XRPL, it is going to be XP Market. Now, while it is good to cover projects with tokens and the things that I'm personally excited about, and NFTs and such, I believe it's important to cover those that are building on peripherals as well. And there's some, a lot of the tokens and all the shiny things get, a lot of the, a lot of the press. And so I do want to highlight XP Market because at every experience I've had with their tools, it has been designed well and intuitive. They have a light and dark mode, which is not really like huge, but it is nice on the eyes and it is very nice looking. But they have access to the DEX, NFTs, portfolio tools, and more. I just encourage, if you're new to the space and you haven't heard of them, go check them out. This is not a paid advertisement. I just really like this tool. I've utilized it in a couple of videos and in my own tutorials because I do think that this is a really great service that they are providing, and I want to see it succeed. So that's why I am talking about it. Next, the video suggestion that I have for the week that will be linked in the description, if you haven't already watched it, is John Deaton. He did a video with Caitlin Long, the CEO and founder of Custodia Bank. And I've seen her on another podcast before about a year ago, and she was awesome there just as she is now. She was specifically creating a bank where the bank would hold $1.08 for every dollar that the bank was supposed to hold. So obviously dramatically different than many of the banks we have now. This would make Custodia Bank the ideal off-ramp for the crypto space. And she elaborates in this video on how Custodia was denied a banking charter and is currently fighting that denial of her application. So, extremely hopeful and almost, I don't know, I feel pretty sure she's going to win. I'm rooting for her for sure. This is what John Deaton says here, or crypto law, should I say, is that crypto's most important fight. And it has to do with the on and off ramps. But again, go watch that video. One of the best videos I feel like John's ever done. Would love to have Caitlin on if she was ever available to come on the show. It would be a great honor. But that being said, also, another part of this video, if you are not trying to create a company or entity in this space, you may not be aware that it's particularly impossible to get a bank account if you're creating a company that has anything to do with crypto. This subject is talked about in the video, and I believe it to be a major issue that is stifling innovation, especially for new creators. I would love to know how Ripple has bank accounts personally. If anyone knows, please put it in the comments below. I know there's some big players, and I know that there has to be a way to do it, but at the same time, I've heard different organizations in the U.S. that are crypto-based that says that they can't get any. So, and they've gone to multiple different banks. So it's very interesting to me that this is the case. So again, not just hearsay, but go watch that video. I highly encourage it. Next is the public service announcement. And it's, there are many people in the community, and this is about AMMs, by the way, if you're just saying, just to highlight what we're talking about here. But there are many people in this community promoting the AMMs as if they don't have any risk attached to them. And that's simply not true. First off, I have great respect for Jake, Molly, and Digital Perspectives, just to name a few, but I have viewed several posts, Twitter Spaces, and some other influencers' videos that are getting this wrong. Now, I will say that this is early, and it's extremely confusing. And each of these people are following the sources and info that are there. We are all trying to get accurate information because this thing that we're talking about isn't live yet. So we can't like put the thing in the fire and see if it burns kind of a deal. So I created this post about this post right here. I'll just go to it here real quick. So I created this post about asking for someone to prove me wrong because even if the documentation on the XLS30D says there is a risk, it says, and there's the documentation link if anyone wants to go out and look at it. It says, however, when the relative price between the assets shifts, the liquidity providers can take a loss on the currency risk. So I was looking for answers to this because I can be wrong too. Like, I understand that I have my own biases, that things happen, and, I would love for there to be zero risk. But that being said, Crypto Lulu, I want to shout out to him because he had the courage and took the time to reply with a great image where David Schwartz, the CTO of Ripple, said in a reply to him that the algorithm works to increase the product and never allows it to drop. And so that's where he said that right there. And that can be very confusing, right? But Neil, since he was mentioned a few times, and people are wanting to hear what I feel like they were wanting to hear a bit. And again, I would love zero risk. Not I do, but I'm an extremely skeptical guy, and so I reached out, and Neil was very, very kind to respond, and he confirmed that impermanent loss is a risk of the pools. And so this is him talking about it right here. Sorry, this is him replying to me asking, what the deal was and asking my questions. He says, yes, impermanent loss is a risk with the XRPL AMM, and single-sided deposits of XRP into a pool exposes you to price risk of the other assets in the pool because you effectively hold equal amounts of both. You should only provide liquidity to a pool where you trust both assets. And so I was still a little confused, though, because now, in creating this video, I realized that I have one Ripple employee seemingly contradicting another. And of course, one is a Ripple developer and the other one is the CTO. So I was like, man, I really want to ask this question, but I don't want to get like him in trouble. But I'm still confused because and I asked him to elaborate. I said, can you elaborate? Because David Schwartz could be wrong, or why he said that the algorithm works to increase that product and never allows it to drop. And so Neil thankfully replied, clarifying that when David is correct and that the quantity of the products won't drop, but that you can still experience impermanent loss due to dramatic price changes. Again, I encourage anyone who is struggling with AMMs to go view those two videos I have from Whiteboard Crypto that are in the description. But I wanted to make sure this was known, that impermanent loss is still a factor, and he was very gracious to answer, and a shout out, and because he was very responsive. Thank you so much, Neil, for clarifying this for the community. And so I hope this helps anyone who's out there. I hope that this information will get to the right people that are kind of spreading that there's no impermanent loss or there's no risk in AMMs on the XRPL, because there is. And I feel like this is as ironclad proof as we can get before the thing actually launches. So with that being said, please make sure that if you are interested in this video, if you find the links helpful, I kind of hope that these videos will be like an archive to a degree of all the different news that's going on. I really appreciate all the content creators out there and what they do. I don't always agree with the methods or different things that go on, but they do drive some traffic to the XRPL. But I really think we should be posting more of our links like this. I hope that I will start a trend and that people will appreciate it, go do their own research, and we'll have a better educated community. And so, again, if you like this format, please make sure to smash that like button, share it with a friend, because I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to do and go with the channel, and your feedback, whether the views, the likes, all these things, they just tell me that I'm on the right track or not. So, or at least they're factors that I take into consideration. So thank you so much for your time. I'm JTXRP, and I'm out.